Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this meeting will be conducted via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means that members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting via virtual means. Participants may access this meeting through the remote meeting link as posted on the meeting agenda and through the town's online calendar. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by raising their hand or otherwise signaling their intent to speak. This meeting will be recorded. Please take care to mute your microphone unless and until you have been recognized by the chair. We will now confirm attendance of the members. I am Ted Barker Hook, Chair of the Zoning Advisory Committee. Matthew Vronka.
Present.
Ron Foisey.
Present.
Stephen Conti.
Present.
Before I lose track, I'll go back up. Arnold Cohen. Are you here with us yet, Arnold? No. Sravan Krishna. No. Sudeep Methi, which I feel like I'm probably mispronouncing. Adam Farks.
Present.
Khwaja Ehsan.
Present.
Jacqueline Crow, we know is not coming. Purvi Avlani. No. And again, I'm Ted Barker Hook, and I'm present, and that is enough for a quorum. With that,
What? Sorry, I thought it was me.
With that, I'll do what I often do, which is move the minutes from last on the agenda item to the first. But I will admit to you guys that I did not read the minutes from the last meeting. I didn't see them. But if we have enough other people that read the minutes and can approve, we can knock that off. Did those get sent out, John, and I missed them? I assume they did.
I thought I included them with the agenda email, but if I didn't, then they didn't.
It's very, very possible you did. I pulled up the agenda from the website, not your email, just tonight. So did the rest of the committee see the minutes, and did you get a chance to read them?
Let me take a look at the email.
I saw
did.
them, but I wasn't present last week, so.
Okay. And
My first meeting.
Ron, it looked like you were about to say you didn't see them.
Yeah, I didn't see him either.
Okay. Well, we will put those off and we'll vote on maybe 2 meetings worth of minutes the next meeting. That's not a big deal at all. I don't think the public is clamoring for those minutes. Which gets us to our first agenda item, which is the public forum. Our hope here is, and it looks like we do have some members of the public who are going to offer some ideas for us, some thoughts for us to consider. We certainly don't expect to take these on in any real way today. But certainly after a presentation, if people have some clarifying questions, we can go into those. But none of these are meant to be really longer term discussion ideas. I think, Paul, your little yellow virtual hand is up first. And why don't you kick off the public forum this year?
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Chair. I talked about this last week, but I'd like to address the new accessory dwelling unit law that was put into effect earlier this year. Some other communities have done a couple of things that I think are very good. The first being to limit accessory dwelling units from being used as short-term rentals like Airbnb or VBRO. And also, secondly, allowing the size of the units to go up to 1,200 square feet. It allows for a little bit more space for people who might have any disabilities or are aging in those places to have a little bit more handicap accessible, and also maybe for potentially a second bedroom for a young family, a husband and wife, and then a kiddo or two. I'm always happy to read my speech, but I think we all heard that last week, so I'm not, don't need to do that tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I'll ask you one quick clarifying because I didn't go back to look it up. Right now, the law allows up to, is it 800 or 900 square feet? Or is it even 1,000?
Yep, through the chair, it's 900 square feet is the maximum, or half of your total square footage, whichever number is less. So for example, if your house is 1,500 square feet, the maximum you can go up to is 750. so half of your square footage. But if your house is 3,000 square feet, the maximum you could go up to is 900. So whichever number is less, that's the maximum you can go up to.
Would part of your proposal be to strike that second part? Or are you just saying allow the 900 to become 1,200, but keep the half of current square footage?
I think it would be I'm more inclined to make it the max, to strike the half portion. So from my understanding, you can be more inclusive with the law in a sense of making the numbers greater. You can't really lessen them, but I think it would be good that you go up to 1,200 square feet total, even if you have a 1,500 square foot house or something like that. The maximum you can go up to would be 1,200.
Okay. To the rest of the committee, do you have any other questions for Paul for us to chew on? But then we can talk about taking this on down the road.
Through the chair, just one question. Paul, I missed it if you said it. What's your address again?
Oh, sorry. 10 DeCarlo Road, Hopkinton.
No, thank you, Paul.
And with that, other members of the public who may be here for the public forum, if you could open with that, I didn't do a good job of bringing it up. Matthew?
Thanks. I guess my question is, like, right now, if it's half the total is one of the caps, that seems to make it clear which is the accessory dwelling. If the potential accessory dwelling is the same size or larger than the primary dwelling, wouldn't that be an issue? It seems like we need some limit relative to the total size.
Again, we're not going to go deep into this, Paul, but do you want to give your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't know if that was for me, but yes, thank you through the chair. Yeah, I totally understand that point, Matthew, that if the square footage of a house is 1,000. So again, I think, the law itself, I think, was a blanket for the state, which was very good, but we're a unique community where I think, we definitely have homes that are 1,000, under 1,000 square feet, but we also have homes that are much larger and 3,500, 4,000, 5,000. So I think it is realistic that any type of change to the law would have some type of limitation on it, like you're saying. I'm more favorable just, hey, let's make it 1,200. People have the opportunity to it. But I also agree with you. We've also seen cases where people are building these little ADUs as almost, honeymoon suites, I'll say, for the parents, and then the children are moving into the main dwelling, or maybe vice versa, where maybe the kids live in the ADU, and then once they have a child or two, now they move to the main house, then the parents move to the second. So I understand your point, but we've kind of seen it flipped in a few studies that, especially the Globe or some articles that the Globe has done, which I'm happy to share with the group. It's been really interesting how people are using these ADUs.
Committee, do you have any other questions for Paul for us to chew on? Paul, I'll ask you this, again, just for me to try to get my head around what your hopes are for this. In my time on the Zoning Advisory Committee, we've talked about ADUs different times. And up until very recently, I've always thought of it as an accessory to the family, a home for the parents, maybe an aging parent or a son. In very recent years, I've shifted a little more, which is, I think, why the state changed the law, to trying to find some more attainable, affordable housing, even if it's not family. Is your goal primarily centered on the more, I'll call, traditional way of seeing an ADU as family, or is it provide more housing regardless of family?
I think the people I've talked to in town who we've discussed this with, it's a little bit of both. Very sympathetic to the housing shortage in Massachusetts and across the country of millions of houses and units that we need. I don't think that the ADU law is going to solve that issue as much as people might want it to. I'm more into it that I'm a young father and family, and I'm lucky enough to have the opportunity to live in Hopkinton, but I know that a lot of people my age haven't been able to, who are from Hopkinton. And I think if they had the opportunity to build an ADU in their yard for their parents to kind of do that switcheroo, I think that would really help. And I know that those parents want those kids and grandkids to be close. That's my main feeling. But a majority of the people I do talk to, it's more about more space for accessibility for aging in place in your community and not having to leave your community. That's what some of the older people I'll say of the age of, not old, but 55, 60 plus kids have left for college and they don't want to have to move to Upton, Grafton, Westboro, where the taxes are lower. Maybe they can have this small ADU. Maybe they rent out the front one or the back so they can kind of subsidize so they be able to stay. That's
Okay.
a little bit what I've seen with some of the older crowd, whereas the younger crowd, I think it's more of an opportunity for us to be able to live in town and maybe even with our parents and things like that. So keep mooching off mom and dad a little longer.
Awesome. That's helpful for me to kind of think through what it is you have in mind. Zach members, any other questions? Or John, did anything pop into your head that's worth bringing up at this point? Okay, great. So Paul, I think this will definitely be something we talk about. I know that it's an issue that Ron has wanted to talk about as well. And John Gelsich and I have talked about relooking at garden apartments, and it seems to me that's all part of a similar conversation. So as we move forward in the next couple weeks, we will certainly give you a heads up, probably when, but if and when this hits the agenda so that you can be a part of that discussion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. I see some other names I don't recognize. Do we have anyone else here for the public forum? See iPhone, Aniri Patel, Colleen Roy. No? Maybe it's just fans of Zach wanting to watch what we have to say. Okay. I guess that closes this year's public forum, John.
All right. So sorry, Ted, not to jump in. This isn't part of the agenda, but since you mentioned her name, Aniri is the new principal planner in Hopkinton, and I was going to introduce her later in the meeting, but since you brought up her name, I'll introduce her now. So
Aniri,
she'll be working with you all on Zach.
welcome to Zach and Aniri. Welcome to Hopkinton. I hope everything is wonderful. There's some applause from Ron for you. Aniri, I don't mean to put you on the spot. And when I am new to jobs, I don't like it when people force me into a role. But would you like to say hello? Would you like to say anything about where you were a month ago, 2 months ago?
Hi, good evening, all. My name is Aniri Patel, and I just started today as a principal planner. I used to work at Yes,
Wow.
first day. I used to work as a land use coordinator for Wayland, town of Wayland, for almost 3 years. And I'm looking forward to work with you all.
Great. So are you going to be with us for every Zach meeting? And John, are you stepping away? Is that the plan from Zach?
I believe so. Yeah. So when we reorganized the leadership in the department, I believe we shifted all the principal planner roles that were currently with the principal planner to the principal planner, but I'll have to take a look and see if any rest with me still.
Okay.
But yes, it'll either be me or Aniri moving forward.
Okay. It would be then helpful, John, if on your way out the Zach door, if you could make sure I have Aniri's email address.
Absolutely.
For our meetings, that would be great.
Yep. I copied her on the most recent email with the documents as well. So
Okay, cool. Wonderful.
I'm sure there's not going to be a shortage of emails with Aniri's email address on it.
Well, again, Aniri, welcome. And hopefully Hopkinton is everything you hoped it would ever be for you.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
All right. With that, we have our first agenda item of the year, a discussion about the affordable housing payment in lieu calculation. I certainly don't think that we are going to finish this discussion tonight. Tonight is hopefully to get it started. I asked John Gelsich late in the day, and he was good enough to meet my request, but I don't know if anyone saw it. John Gelsich sent out the language in the bylaw associated with the affordable housing payment in lieu. If you haven't seen it and you want to pull that up, you can find it in your email. If you just want to go to the website and dig it up, it is on page 36 of the zoning bylaws. Section 210.62 is the actual payment in lieu section. A little bit above that is the bylaw regarding affordable housing units. With that, I think that Khwaja, you have been asked to present this. Is that true? Did I
Yeah,
understand that
because
correctly?
I'm also in affordable housing. So
Wonderful. So I
Yes.
give you the floor, Khwaja, to let us know what the Affordable Housing Committee,
committee, yeah,
what the
board.
Affordable Housing Committee has in mind.
Well, basically, yeah, as sharing the screen. So this is the new one. So the originally the calculation of the payment in lieu calculation was based on it was based on each affordable unit not constructed or provided through what is the previous one? The fee originally was amount equal to the purchase price of a 3-bedroom house that is affordable to a qualified affordable housing unit purchaser, as contained in the LIP guidelines, regardless of what type of dwelling was proposed. But the new method added to the fact that the difference is between the median single home sales price in Hopkinton for the most recent calendar year, determined by the planning board, zoning advisory committee, or whoever decides that. We don't know. We are not sure who actually sets the price, but that was the idea, to get the median single family home price, basically recent price, instead of that original, that affordable price unit, to make it more real. I mean, in the whatever the affordable housing unit base price, that is definitely doesn't apply in Hopkinton because of the price in Hopkinton. So that was the only difference that was proposed.
Great. And as I'm taking notes, one question that you had yourself, and we should all have, is who
Determines this.
determines the median home price?
Correct.
Price. And did you say for the previous calendar year?
Recent calendar year.
For
most recent calendar year.
Okay,
So,
there we go. For most recent
yeah,
January through December.
I would think so. Yeah, calendar.
Not a fiscal year like March
No.
to February or something.
Not the fiscal.
Most recent calendar year. I slow down the meeting by taking notes, and then I mumble where I am just so you know what's going on. Do you happen to know, Khwaja, what that number would be? Like, if this rule took place right now, do you know what our median home price was in the most recent calendar year? Or maybe
Unfortunately, I have no idea what that is. I think we proposed it, but no, I don't think I have the actual number.
Right.
I'm trying to think, but I don't think so.
Is that, I don't know, I'm asking anybody in the room, is that a statistic that the state keeps for separate towns? Would that be just going to Chuck Joseph as the biggest name realtor in town and say, what's the story over the last year? Is that a stat we have, John?
Ted, sorry, I can't figure out how to raise my hand. My name's Colleen Roy. I'm from Grafton. That's something your assessor will have during the tax classification report that they do every year. I'm on the Grafton Affordable Housing Trust. I was real interested in this presentation you have tonight. That's why I'm here. I did try to raise my hand earlier, but again, I couldn't figure out how to do that. But your assessor's office will have the median home price for you.
Okay.
To the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Ted. It depends on what AI agent you use, but the one I'm just looking at right now says that it's, and I believe this is probably pretty accurate, 1 to 1.1 million as of August 2025. That's the median home sales price.
Mhm.
Right.
And I believe various agents, based on the data they keep, can also probably dig that up. But that's what one of my AI agents that I use just came up with.
Okay.
Redfin 2025 said that here's some more information, that the median price in Hopkinton is 1.1 million. It's a 12.3 increase from the previous year, by the way.
12% increase over 1 year. Wow.
Yeah. And
That's got to be a big number. I assume that's big in the real estate world.
yeah, homes.com, Ted, is reporting 975,000. Yeah. To be confirmed. Yeah.
So just for discussion's sake, we can call it about 1 million.
Yeah. What was the number? 1.1, right? So, yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again?
No, the number Stephen mentioned is 1.1, right? So,
Right. Well, he found two numbers, 1.1 million and 975K.
oh, okay.
But they're in the same ballpark for, oh my gosh, look, there's Chuck Joseph, who I just brought up recently. Chuck, go ahead.
Sure, thank you. I don't mean to jump in here, but I'd be very careful about the data that you're using. In the industry itself, number one is a lot of these things are taken off of recent sales and not over the entire housing stock. And since in Hopkinton currently, we're getting more high-end home sales than median and low-end home sales because people are not selling those homes. So if you look at perhaps even the average assessment, which does not reflect market value, by the way, it's usually significantly lower than the current market value. But you can, MLS, Multiple Listing Service, comes up with data as well. And it is if it's the mean and not the median, again, the median is probably judged over what has sold in the last year, but the mean is probably in the mid to high 800s.
Okay. And then, Chuck, could you just give us an address, just for the record?
Oh, 5 Benson Road, Hopkinton.
Thank you, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
And Colleen, could you give us an address? I assume, John, it's okay for Colleen from Grafton to speak at our meetings? I assume there's no trouble with that?
So that's usually up to the chair. And I've just got Colleen as the Grafton Affordable Housing Trust.
Yep.
Okay.
So my address is 53 Elmwood Street, Grafton, Mass. And I'm the vice chair of the Affordable Housing Trust.
Yeah,
and I'm pulling up your fiscal year 25 classification. I should be able to get you that exact number as well. So the average single, I can get you the median price, but all that stuff's available online that you guys look for. You don't have to even guess. Your assessor's office puts this report out every year.
Great. Chuck, is your hand still up, or is that a stale hand? Okay.
No, I apologize.
No, it's okay. Don't apologize. All right. So, and obviously we can think through those numbers. I was just trying to get a sense of what it means so we could do some math. Could you, I keep calling on John, but I want to see if we can go to Aneri. Maybe you could help us out. Could one of our town folks tell us again where that affordable housing price comes from? I think I looked this up when we had a similar discussion before. That currently we use.
I won't put Aneri on the spot through the chair. That is something that EOHLC, formerly DHCD, calculates. So they have a spreadsheet that you can input certain interest rates, insurance, that kind of stuff, and get an affordable housing price for the income that you're aiming towards. So that is something that EOHLC, Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, has for us.
And when they figure that, John, again, I'm hearkening back to a discussion we had, I think, when we amended the affordable housing information, but it's not one price for the entire Commonwealth. It's in your area or something, right? They're denoting an area and saying this is the mean affordable housing for that area.
Yeah, but for Massachusetts, the areas are basically Boston, Worcester, and Pittsfield, and I think maybe Brockton or Plymouth. So
Oh,
they're
it's
very
that
large
broad.
areas. I think we're captured in the Boston, Cambridge area, the statistical area.
That's pretty broad then.
Yeah.
That would include Back Bay and Beacon Hill, and it would include, I don't want to disparage any town, but some town that's not Back Bay and Beacon Hill. So it's not a terribly helpful number. So then thinking out loud, what this means is if a developer fell under our law where they would need to build an affordable house and they asked to give a payment in lieu, they would no longer give $250,000, $300,000 if it were approved, because the way we have the law now, the planning board has to, or the bylaw, the planning board has to approve. It would now be 1 million-ish minus that 250. It would be a payment of $750,000. Am I thinking that through correctly, Kwaja? Kwaja, are you there?
Sorry, I was in mute. Yes, that would be the calculation, I would guess. That's
And I'm just going to continue to think out loud, but it's going to lead to a question in not very much time. My understanding is our current payment in lieu may be building a bank of some money somewhere, but it's very rare that it gets used. It's very rare that the payments are resulting in construction of affordable houses. So my general thought, as someone who wishes we had more affordable and attainable houses in town, is increasing the payment is probably a good thing. Why is this the math that you guys came up with? Why does median minus this number make sense? Where does that come from?
I guess we tried to do a price adjustment based on the current market, because the original calculation that was, I think it's used by all the other towns.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't apply here, right? So we just wanted to make some improvement, at least that gives some difference. I mean,
so this is a calculation you saw neighboring towns using, your committee?
I think everybody does that based on that. They use that 3-bed. I think I think that information comes from state mandated something. And I think John might be able to tell.
Yeah. I don't think this is something that's in all the neighboring towns. It's in a couple towns.
Yes, a
One
couple
of
of
the co-op communities has it.
I think we use Northborough or something like that.
Yeah, other communities may have it, but I think one of the main reason for this type of calculation is you've got the affordable housing cost. If the developers are paying the cost to buy an affordable unit, you can't build an affordable unit for that cost.
Right.
It would be impossible. And so this would take that affordable housing cost out of it. The difference between how much a house costs in town and that affordable housing cost is what they would be making up to purchase that home. And then the affordable buyer would pay that affordable cost, which would make that whole total what the median sales price would be. And so if I think, Ted, as you said, the planning board has the ability to issue a special permit to allow this or not. So right. If the planning board also has to make a finding in that special permit that allowing for the offsite unit, which is also a special permit, or the payment in lieu, serves the town's affordable housing interests better than an on-site unit. They have to make that finding in order to grant the special permit. And so that finding would really be tough to make with the current calculation for the affordable unit. Whereas if you cover the difference and the town is not paying to build this unit and the affordable buyer is not paying to build this unit more than they would for an affordable unit, then you can make the argument that that payment would then serve the town because they could use the money to construct that unit. Whereas if there was just the regular affordable calculation of 250 or 275 or whatever it is, you wouldn't be able to build that even if you were doing a multifamily development and, kind of spread the cost across all the units.
All right, so I'm about to ask a question that may be idiotic, but I want to let anyone who's new to the committee know I am not a developer, I'm not a realtor, I am not a town planner, I'm a high school history teacher. With that, so is the idea, the town builds nothing. The town may hire someone to build a house, and now they have $750,000 to build a home, which would be sold to somebody for $250,000, that way making it an affordable house. Is that how it works?
So the money would go to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board. That's where the payment goes. And so then the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board can use that money and contract out a development that could be all affordable, could be mixed market rate or affordable, but they would have this larger payment to offset the cost to then build that affordable unit. And it's not a requirement that the developers make this payment. The developers would really only seek to make this payment if they didn't want to build the unit on site. Sure, that's what's required by right, right?
Right. That part I get. I'm just trying to understand how this allows a family that can't afford Hopkinton to move into Hopkinton.
It would provide the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board with more money to then build those affordable units rather than try and figure out creative ways to use the $250,000 to further affordable housing purposes. Right now,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, John.
That's all right. So like now, they've got a chunk of money from Legacy Farms and from some previous affordable housing payments. Not enough to build the units to cover the units that were used for the payment in lieu, right? Maybe they could do a small development with the money they have, but really it's creative ways of, buying down units that are already being created to then have more affordable within the development. Doing that kind of thing to create these units. If there was more money in the account, they could use that to actually develop.
Who becomes the seller of the unit? Is the town of Hopkinton the seller, the Affordable Trust Fund the seller?
So it would depend on how this would be done. So if the money was used for a development that was initiated and managed by the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board, then it would be part of the RFP process to find that owner out and what that affordable housing lottery process would then look like once all the units are sold. If it was somebody else, whoever the developer was that owned the property would own the unit and then sell it. But that's not how that would work if they're making a payment in lieu. So I guess it would be if the town were to undertake this development, right? So we've got land in the town-owned Fruit Street parcel that is designated for affordable housing because it was purchased with CPA funding. So a certain percentage has to be affordable housing. If the town wanted to develop that, they would issue an RFP, and a developer would come and respond to that RFP, and the town would basically have to do a very tailored RFP to figure out how they'd want all of that to work. And I think that would really be the only situation that this would come into play of like who would own it.
Can the Affordable Housing Trust Fund purchase a currently existing house with the money, or do they have to build new?
No, they could purchase the current one.
Okay.
Yes, we're trying to get some title to get into perpetuity. Some of the affordable housing are leased. What is it called? The title up to like certain dates. We can pay them to make that always affordable housing.
All right. I have taken up a lot of airtime trying to wrap my head around it. Are there other committee members that have questions that Khwaja or John could answer?
To the chair, I'm specifically, trying to, in my mind anyway, address the amendment. And, my comment earlier, and I see Chuck Joseph still on, and please jump in at some point. So we're proposing specifically the difference between the median single family home sales price, which is a, snippet of time, you can look at and, based on sales. So it's, it's limited to what's been sold. It's a, a partial example of value, what you can get in terms of the actual value, the median value in the whole town, which would be much, larger subset. So the larger subset, I think, is more consistent with what Chuck Joseph was saying earlier. If you take a look at the value and you go to the tax assessors, you can get that number, what that median value is. It'd probably be in that 700 to 800 range, Ted. And, taking this more narrow subset of sales, depending, like Chuck said, how aggressive the market is, high value versus, more average. Right now, you'd be looking at a much larger number if we were to agree with this amendment. So I think one of the decisions we have to make in summary is, what is that value, that median value going to be based on? Is it the average value of all homes? Or is it going to be, this calculation based on sales?
Okay.
Because I think the sales, as mentioned earlier, would be, higher.
Okay.
Immediate sales. Could be lower, I defer to the real estate expert, but it could be lower in a different economy too, But right now it seems to be, up there.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have questions either to chew on for the future or to get clarification on right now?
Through the chair?
Yes. It sounds like Ron.
Yeah, I'm concerned about unintended consequences. I mean, we're trying to increase the stock of attainable housing at the very least. And if we're going to be driving up uniquely in Hopkinton the development costs for people because of our affordable housing requirements, I'm just concerned that we may be driving developers out of time. And before we go too far on this, I'd like to have an opportunity to really talk to some other developers and see what, just get some thoughts on what that's going to do to their desirability of trying to develop in Hopkinton.
So through the chair, I can address that.
Please do.
It would just give the developer an option that would also be favorable to the town. Currently, the way that the payment in lieu value is calculated, it's very favorable to developers, and it is not helpful to the town. First off, if a developer comes into town and wants to do any kind of development that's over 6 units, they have the right to do an on-site unit. They don't have to make any payment. They don't have to do an off-site unit. They could do an on-site unit to meet their requirement right off the bat. If they don't want to do an on-site unit, they can apply for a special permit from the planning board to do the unit off-site or make a payment in lieu. And the problem was with Legacy Farms, because the way that the zoning worked, they were an age-restricted development. You can't have affordable housing and restrict it by age, so they had to make a payment in lieu. So even though these Legacy Farms, the Trails units are being sold for, I don't know, $500,000 at the very least, they are paying $274,000 was the most recent payment they paid to offset the affordable unit. So I don't know if that's how much it costs them to build a unit, $274,000, but I'm going to guess it's not. And so they're paying less to the town for the unit and saving money rather than, and then building a market rate unit in its place rather than paying to build an affordable unit and then have an affordable unit on site. So if any other developer were to come in and want to do all market rate units on their development and make a payment, they could potentially pay less, and the town would then have less money to use for affordable housing purposes. So if they want to make that payment, making that difference between what it would cost or what values homes have in Hopkinton versus what an affordable buyer would be paying would help the town have more in its coffers to increase that affordable housing availability in town.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Sonal Cohen.
Oh, hi, Arnold. Welcome.
Yes. So I live in the trails. They're selling from 800,000 or 1 million, not 500,000. But just following up, I'm a lawyer and, so I'm familiar with real estate. I think there's a concern that, first of all, requiring one affordable unit for if you're going to build six homes. Has any developer built a project where they, under that new bylaw, where they built 6 homes and then provided an affordable unit amongst the 6 units? Has that happened yet?
So,
Elsich, do you want to talk about the one off of down the road from me?
yeah, off of Chestnut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
what this means.
24 Chestnut came in and they wanted to put a offsite unit up. Planning board did not approve the special permit, so they were not allowed to do I think it was a 7-unit development. They came back in with 5 units and that was under the threshold. So to some people in Hopkinton, it worked out because they ended up building fewer homes in general. Town didn't get any affordable housing, but they weren't required to. We don't have a ton of development, so that's really been the only development since the bylaw has been passed. That would even come close to triggering that, so other than that, we don't have any examples. But the bylaw was passed 2 years ago, so it hasn't been in place super long.
Yeah, so I just have a question. If you're talking about in lieu of building an affordable, I just think that it might discourage development at all. So you're not going to just won't get anybody building. I think the idea of talking that, to some developers trying to get an idea of what they think, of course, chances are they would be pretty negative about it. So that's, if there was a perfect solution to have more affordable housing, we'd probably have done it. But I just have to wonder about that, whether that's an example of that. They wanted to put 7 units up, and faced with this bylaw, they just reduced it to 5 units. I don't know what the potential is for further development in the town is where this bylaw would apply. Would it apply in those new MBTA zones? If they want to build something that's more than six units or more, are they going to have to make one of the units affordable?
Yeah, that actually is why the bylaw was originally changed, because the way that it was written, even to do an on-site unit, you had to get a special permit. It was just a way of a formal process for requiring the affordable unit. But the state said that under the MBTA communities, you can't require special permits. So if we didn't change it to require it at the 6-unit threshold, any development in the MBTA districts would not have had to provide any affordable housing. So we changed it to allow the 6-unit threshold with a unit for every 10 units. So it's not a unit every 6 units. It's starting at 6 units. There's a unit required every 10 units. Because you would round up on the fractions. So starting at the 6 units, there's a debate between 5 and 6. Starting at the 6 units allows you to round up to the 1 whole unit. It was really changed to address the MBTA community's concern of then having the largest potential for multifamily not being required to put any affordable housing in.
All right. Yeah, I just think it's in my mind, I'm just thinking that if a developer, developers are looking for places where they can build. It's kind of, there's economics involved, and I don't have the expertise, but I think it could be an issue.
Through the chair, it's my experience in a couple towns that I do planning stuff in, that for the size of developments that we see with the multifamily and where it would be multiple units, more than 1 or 2 affordable units, it's not as much of a concern as you would think. It's part of the conversation, but it's never been something that has been make or break the projects that we've done.
All right.
It's not just in Hopkinton, that's in other towns around the area.
Is that good for now, Arnold?
Yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up.
No, I think it's worth bringing up, both you and Ron. And obviously, we're not jumping to any recommendation right away. All of these things are worth thinking about. Anyone else? On the zoning advisory committee first, and then Chuck, I'll go to you if we can get committee members. Seeing no committee members raising virtual or real hands. Oh, there we go. Matthew's got something.
Yeah, I just looked up while we were going through this. I see something from like 2006 where Shrewsbury had this. So they've had it for about, theirs is 3 years span instead of 1 year. But it looks like even currently they still have basically the same formula. So seems like it's worked out for them and their version of it.
When you say it's worked out, what does that mean?
They haven't removed it in about 20 years.
Okay. So they've been using it for 20 years?
I see when I did a quick search on their website, they've got something from 2006 that had, I don't know if it's changed at all at that time frame, but in 2006 they had something very similar to what's being proposed, only it was over the span of 3 years. And as of this year, they just have an updated form that's the current prices and the difference. I don't know what's changed since then, but over the last 20 years or so, it looks like they've maintained the same basic idea.
So I think that gives us a good place to start. I think part of our discussion going forward would be to see what other towns are doing this and what have they seen from it. Hopkinton is the only Hopkinton out there, but the more we could compare, the more informed can be our discussion. Thanks for that, Matthew. Any other ZAC members with a thought or question? Make sure I'm not missing anyone. I don't think so. Great. And Chuck, I assume that is a fresh hand this time? Great. Welcome back, Chuck.
Thank you. First of all, I'm really appreciative of the discussion you guys are having. And when you do your research with other towns, besides looking at what's on the books, I would look at how many affordable units have been built under that bylaw in those particular towns. I know I personally have looked at 2 projects in Hopkinton in the last 8 months, and they would have required 3 affordable units by right on site. Would kill the project. There's no way you could build it. So the in lieu of is really interesting to me, and I think it's, in the words of Ken Burns, it's complicated. I think it's harder than what you might think. And I'm interested in whether or not in your heads you guys are thinking that an affordable unit in lieu of must be new or could be existing. All right. If it's new, it's probably not going to happen. If it's pre-existing, that can be supplemented with a payment from a developer to bring, say, a $750,000 house down to $450,000 if that's what the formula requires, then you've got a real shot at that. I think the logistics are going to be challenging because is the house available? Who's buying the house? When does the developer give the $300,000 or whatever the money is to supplement that, to make that house affordable? I have been trying to build affordable housing in Hopkinton for almost 20 years, and it's really hard. And I think it has to come to some degree into zoning. And the way we currently have our zoning makes it very, very challenging. I was present for the Chestnut Street discussion with the affordable housing group. And I was disappointed in how little they understood, the people that were making the decision, what could happen in lieu of, and why a developer couldn't build duplexes in this cul-de-sac. And there was just some really naive questions that I felt like members of that committee should have been better read into what their options were. If they're going to negotiate with a developer, you should know what you're going to be. And I think it would behoove you guys tremendously to get 3 or 4 experienced local developers in a room and say, hey, how can you guys do this? How can it work for you guys? Because there is the theoretical and then there is the practical. And I do believe we can get some affordable housing in Hopkinton. I do think it's going to be a challenge. And much like when I was involved, gosh, 35 years ago in developing the open space bylaw, it took government agencies and private developers coming together and really working collaboratively to come up with something that could work in the real world. And because of that, we have so much open space in Hopkinton now that's permanently deeded. So I know it can work, but I know it's a little bit tedious.
I think all of that is really appreciated, Chuck. And especially, again, I'm a history teacher, and I certainly don't pretend to have any deep knowledge of any of this. Could I back up to the first half of your comment and ask for clarification? Since I was taking notes, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. I do like the question of, does it have to be new affordable housing, or can it be a house that currently exists, maybe needs to be spiffed up? Yeah. Are you suggesting two different formulas, that if a developer wants to give a payment in lieu for a pre-existing house, that might be a lower number based on the formula?
Yes, I think and again, I know that the formulas are complex, but let's assume that the agency that's involved says an affordable housing in Hopkinton is $500,000. Let's just use that number for illustrative purposes. And if the developer is sitting there and says, I'm going to buy this $800,000 house, and you can resell it at $500,000 as an affordable unit, would that fulfill the spirit of the law to get you an affordable unit? I think that's my kind of pragmatic application of this.
Through the chair.
Yes, please.
That is the second option. That is the building an off-site unit. Most of the time, and I think this was going to be the case for 24 Chestnut, is they would have found a unit that was off-site, purchased it, fixed it up to EOHLC standards, and then sold it as a deed-restricted affordable unit. The problem is affordable units in Hopkinton are not $500,000. The affordable price would be like $275,000. That's what that payment is. So when we calculate through EOHLC what the purchase price is, that's what an affordable buyer would be paying. It's not the difference of. So in this situation, if the developer bought an $800,000 property and then converted it, they would get the $275,000 back because they would be selling it to that affordable purchaser. And then that difference is what they would effectively pay to create that unit. And so that's what we're trying to do. But on the town side is, here's the median sales price for a house, or the median value, or however we want to do it, that it would cost the town to buy that property, then create it as an affordable unit, and then sell it back for the $275,000. That difference is what the town would be responsible for. And if we're only getting $275,000 from developers to then offset that $275,000, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board has to make up that difference with their funding. And that's why this formula is before the ZAC committee, is to change that so that the town and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board isn't making up that cost, the developer is. And the process, as Chuck described, it would still be the same. It's just now the taxpayers for the town would not be paying for it, and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board would not be paying for that difference.
Chuck, is that a fresh hand? I am very happy with cordial back and forth without me having.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
That's okay.
John, that's really helpful to me. I was unaware that the affordable index was that low in Hopkinton. My understanding was that it was higher than that. However, let's assume for a minute that's the case. I think, if I understood you correctly, that you are saying that this would be almost a private transaction. The developer goes out, buys a house, brings it up to the standards that it has to do, and then knows in his head that he's only getting $275,000 from whoever buys the qualified buyer is for this house, and the delta is his or hers.
Correct. But it wouldn't be a private sale because they would have to go through EOHLC. So they would have to go through the state affordable process to ensure that the unit is up to their standards.
Yeah, I meant private in the sense that the public funding is not entering into it.
Correct.
It's the builder's money.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes. So then, yes, for argument's sake, if they bought a house for $500,000, the affordable purchase price was $250,000, they would eat that extra $250,000.
Yep.
that they paid for that unit. And then
Yeah.
they would get that 250 back from the seller. And so that the 250 would be their contribution to the affordable whatever, but they would really be contributing a unit rather than the money.
And can I ask one more clarification question?
Please do, yes.
John, on the development side of things, you had mentioned that one unit, affordable unit for 6 market rate, 6 total units. What does that go to? I thought it went up 1 every 5 units. Is that not true?
No, I believe I'd have to take a look at it. I haven't looked at it in a while. I believe it's 1 every 10 units, starting at 6.
So if I built a 14 unit, there would only be 1 affordable unit required?
Because fractional units would round up.
I see.
So once you hit 10, if you did 10, you'd have 1 unit. Once you hit 11, you would have 2 required affordable units. But then also at 19, you would only have 2 affordable required units.
I have the wording right in front of me, Chuck, if it would help you. It's in the zoning bylaws, section 21060. In each applicable development, 10% of the total units shall be established as affordable housing units. Where fractional units are the result, the number of affordable units shall be rounded up to the nearest whole number.
Yep.
For example, in developments of 12 units, 2 affordable units shall be created, 1.2 units rounded up to 2. In developments of 17 units, 2 affordable units shall be created, 1.7 rounded up to 2, and so on.
Okay,
Dwelling units shall be constructed or rehabilitated on the development locus.
The only thing I would caution you guys is to go back to that notion of existing versus new as satisfying affordable, because given the cost of construction today and the cost of land today, I don't know how you can build an affordable unit at $275 when you're paying $400 for a piece of land for 1 house. So I think that's where if you shift your focus a little bit, or maybe account for more probability of generating affordable units through existing stock, I think you've got a better shot at really creating something.
I think I saw Matthew's hand pop up, but now it's gone.
I was just going to say, while we were reading through there, to 1058A, it's 5 net new is when it kicks in. So it's 5 and up. The issue with Chestnut was there was already 1 on site, which is why 6 became 5 net new.
Okay. Anyone else with questions or comments or things that have popped into your head on this discussion? Chuck, thank you for being here. I think all of this is very helpful. Anybody else? Okay. So, Khwaja, I think that hopefully you've got some feedback that you can take back to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The rest of us, if you didn't take the notes I took, all of this is on HCAM and you can go back. I think some work that, I'm going to put it in passive voice, needs to get done is seeing what other towns are doing. And I do think, and I was thinking the same thing, but I'm happy that Chuck vocalized, it is worth finding out whether Shrewsbury is getting more affordable units, or Wayland, or whomever has a similar law. What is it producing? Because that ultimately is the goal, I think. It may be, for some, the goal is just to limit development. That's a different goal. But if the goal is truly to get more affordable / attainable housing, as we do research to see what other towns are doing, that would be an important element to consider. If Shrewsbury for 20 years has gotten 1 affordable home, this may be a bad plan. So that would be worth looking into. But I'm going to leave that in the passive voice for now. I'm not going to assign homework, nor am I going to volunteer to take that job on right now. That might be a little bit, I guess, Khwaja, maybe your committee's work to flesh out the proposal and see what's worked.
I'll pass that message.
But obviously, any other ZAC member that is especially invested in this, or Chuck, if you want to keep helping us out, that would be great. Anything else on this topic? We will keep it on the agenda. Do you think, Khwaja, that 2 weeks is enough, or do you think that the Affordable Housing Trust Committee would like more than 2 weeks to think it through?
I don't think we have a meeting scheduled now from now and in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So maybe the following meeting, maybe.
Okay. So why don't we just, we agreed, I think, that we can all meet in 2 weeks on Monday night. I think that was part of last week's meeting. So why don't we have, unless something comes down from the planning board, why don't we have 1.5 agenda items? One will be approve the minutes. But then the other one, why don't we begin to talk about ADUs a little bit? See what we think about Paul and Ron's proposal to rethink what we're doing with ADUs. I think that I will try to go back and look at the garden apartment bylaws that got changed, I think 12 years ago, right before I got on the zoning advisory committee, because I do think those are two halves of a similar conversation, especially when it comes to trying to find more affordable, attainable housing. Ron, go ahead.
Just the zoning map on the website is a 2023 PDF. Is that the most current zoning map that is available to us?
I'm looking at John immediately on that.
I'm a little concerned because the zoning map hasn't been updated since 2015. So I don't know.
Where did you see 2023?
Yeah, the zoning map hasn't been updated since 2015. We've added the MBTA communities, but that's as a separate map. So that standalone map is technically part of the zoning map, but the one pager is.
I'm talking about the zoning bylaw.
Zoning bylaw.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said map too.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, there is a 2024 version. I can send that out.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am looking at the 2024 that I got off the town's website.
If you go to the town clerk's page, that's where the most up-to-date version should be.
Okay.
Ron, I just did a search. I went to the town website, did a search for bylaws, and it says the PDF is zoning bylaw book 2024.pdf.
I went to the planning board site and went to their zoning map, and it said 2023. So,
well, I'm pretty sure we can blame Matthew for that. Maybe the planning board can get their act in order. However, as you were asking about the map, it did remind me about the MBTA problem that we need to look at. John, I think that you said that we were still waiting for a little more information before we, zoning advisory, should take that up, or am I misremembering?
I think you were, and then I met with the state and they gave me some feedback, and then we were waiting for the new principal planner to start.
Okay. So tell me this, John and Aneri, do you think we could make that a second agenda item, or third if we count the minutes, in 2 weeks, or is that too soon?
I think for a general discussion, it would be okay.
Just to get the ball rolling?
Yep.
Okay, so then I'm proposing those 3 agenda items, a couple meetings of minutes, begin to talk about the ADUs, and then get up to speed on what we need to fix with our MBTA communities. Everybody cool with that as a work plan?
Yes.
And then Khwaja, you and the Affordable Trust Fund folks have a little bit more work to do, it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah. Also.
Great. I think it's time for me to look for a motion and a second to adjourn our meeting.
So move.
Second.
And we've got that. Let's go through a roll call vote to adjourn. Matthew Vronka.
Yes.
Ron Foisey.
Yes.
Arnold Cohen. You want to go home, Arnold, or not?
I think he said yes, but he's on mute, so.
Okay. I'm going to assume it's a yes, or that we have a quorum enough anyway, even if it doesn't count. Stephen Conti.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, there we go.
I'm doing it on my phone. I've never done a Zoom by phone
Okay.
before, so.
Adam Farks.
Yes.
Khwaja Hassan.
Yes.
And Ted Barker Hook is also a yes. Thank you, everybody. That was a 1 and 5 minute meeting. I think we got the ball rolling.
Mhm.
And I'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
All right.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Okay.
Bye.